Welcome back into the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, or online at WEGLFM.com. I'm your host, Jared Dillard, and joining me in the studio from left to right is Carter Burt, Jacob Hillman, and Jack Hart finally stumbled his way in because he was not going to miss the segment that is up next, and that segment being
Uni Watch. From minor tweaks to complete rebrands, Uni Watch is your home for sports uniform news. We're bringing you the cleanest jerseys, freshest sweaters, coolest caps, and most heinous fashion violations that your teams will be donning as they make sports history and eye-catching infamy.
Uni Watch is here, and joining us for Uni Watch today is Clint Richardson. Clint, how you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. So I'm going to pass over to Jacob because Jacob wants to ask you a question about a certain opinion that you have. Jacob?
Clint, how are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you guys?
Well, I know your thoughts on this, but I want to hear what you talk about the tricolored hats that Auburn baseball debuted this weekend. I just want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of them now. Auburn last wore these back in 2013 and had worn them for a couple of years prior, and that was about the time I came to Auburn as a freshman, and I really loved them, and I couldn't find them in the store to wear it myself. But since then, I don't know what it is. Something just feels off about it. I'm a big fan of the tricolor hats. I love the Chicago White Sox red, white, and blue one, the Baltimore Orioles with the cartoon bird head. And I don't know what it is about this Auburn one right now, but it's just not my favorite at the moment.
Yeah, and my thoughts immediately when I first saw them was to the Baltimore Orioles, and I figured it would be similar, but it just doesn't feel the same, in my opinion, kind of like you said. It doesn't feel like the ones that they wore 2013 and before. So I'm with you on that. I mean, I feel like they could have pulled it off like they did before 2013, but just they haven't done that. I really like the blue hat with the orange Auburn logo instead of the white Auburn logo. So I feel like if they stick to that hat, I think that's a good look for Auburn baseball.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I've talked to a couple of people about the tricolor hat, and there's one opinion that came up that was really interesting, and it was maybe change out the AU logo to like the Sailor Obby and give it more of a throwback look. And I think that would really fit well with the Baltimore and the White Sox kind of style. It's not the standard logo, it's a different logo. And I think that would be a really interesting look for Auburn baseball.
Well, Jack, where are we going first for this first Uni Watch? Which one we're going to show the crowd first?
I think, since we're talking about baseball, let's just keep that wagon rolling, if I could use a pun, and look at the new Oklahoma Sooners baseball uniforms. Nike's really working hard in the offseason to get these new Nike schools their baseball uniforms. So Oklahoma has rolled out, that's 7 new baseball uniforms. They're all pretty safe. A couple plain red shirts, 2 vest-type uniforms, I think is the most interesting thing here, and then 2 pinstripe kits, which I think is also an interesting dynamic. And just one thing to note about these before we all share our opinions is that on, I believe, one of them, I have the detail there on the right side of the graphic. It has that kind of weird wooden aesthetic that Oklahoma's been going for recently. I think we saw it on their football uniforms, too, where the numbers look like they're made out of, like, wagon wood, and it looks weird when it's red like that. And they also have an interesting logo added to the mix there with that wagon wheel on the belt loop. So what do we think about these guys?
Yeah, I really liked what Oklahoma did with the Rough Rider football alternates a couple of years ago, and it's a really safe, good-looking alternate for a team kind of similar to Auburn and Alabama who don't wear a lot of alternates. To bring that look to the other athletic teams is also a really good idea. Baseball, to me, seems to be a little bit more conservative and classic, so it's an odd design to bring it to the diamond. And you know, the picture that you put in this graphic of that detail is on the cream throwbacks, and I don't think there's anything better than a good-looking throwback uniform on the baseball diamond, and I don't think that's the best place to put it. But, you know, looking at this lineup to have 2 vests, 2 red jerseys, and 2 pinstripes is a little overkill to me. I know former Sooner and Auburn coach Sonny Galloway was a big fan of the vest, and I'm not sure if he started that at Oklahoma, but it's nice to still see vest being worn in baseball.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the vest part. I wish Auburn would bring that look back because I thought it was a great look in the years past. And I do agree that maybe 2 pinstripes and 2 vests is a little bit overkill. No reason to have both of them. And I don't really see anything bad about these uniforms. I think they're all clean looks, nothing really crazy. So I really like all the looks, but my favorite are the vests.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Jack, where are we going next?
I think we can take a look at the throwback basketball uniforms that a lot of teams have been throwing into their midseason mix, maybe to bring up attendance or just for a little bit of novelty as the basketball season stretches on into February. So 3 teams have, in the past week, either shown off or announced a new throwback uniform, those being Michigan, Kansas, and Nebraska, I believe all throwing back to the 70s era that we've been seeing as so popular here in the sport recently. And Michigan with this interesting yellow one that they like to wear at home. Nebraska with a very bold design that Carter tipped me off to with the old Nebraska logo and the old Husker wearing the basketball. And then Kansas with a really clean look, throwing it right back to their roots and their success in the late 70s.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of throwback designs in basketball this year. Recently, Nike just revealed a lot of teams. I know Florida, Georgia, Tennessee has been wearing one for a couple of weeks now, and they're all great looks. And we're in such a nostalgic hotbed in our culture, and these are always the perfect way to just buy into that. And especially when you're a team and you're a manufacturer like this, it's just a cash grab, really. So Michigan with their Fab 5 design is always fantastic. They should, honestly, I wouldn't be upset if they went to these kind of full time. Nebraska's throwback logo is one that I hadn't seen before, but you see where Adidas put their trademarks on it. The shoulder harness is colored in, the weird stripes on the side. It's not a true throwback. I wish I had seen some of the source material for this to get a better idea, but I wish that they had gone a little bit more truer to that. And then Kansas. I think Kansas is just a great looking team most of the time. They use red, white, and blue better than most teams in the country. This one was just a product of a bad template. I think they had weird striping, and you can see on the collar stripes that it just ends. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no need for it to end. That should be going all the way around.
Yeah, I really like the idea of what the Kansas one is, but I definitely agree that I don't understand why the stripes stop right there. There's really no reason. The Nebraska one, the throwback logo just looks so weird to me.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that one.
I've never seen it, and it looks like a backwards N, and I don't understand it. Like why Nebraska ever would have made that their logo.
What it looks so like, goofy. It looks like when you go to the Weather Channel, you look at a hurricane. It looks like the hurricane logo.
I wouldn't be surprised if these are like faux backs, like the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Tampa Bay Rays, rather, where they just design something that looks like the 70s rather than actually pulling from any source material.
Probably a good point.
And then probably my only complaint that I can come up with the Michigan throwback is, in this picture right here, this guy's wearing number 1. The number 1 on the front so far to the left that it's almost like directly on his side, and it just looks a little goofy to me when you have just the number 1. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the Michigan one, but the logo for Nebraska just looks so weird to me. I still can't get over it.
With that.
Jack, where are we going to next?
Let's head back to baseball before we cap this one off. And Vanderbilt has updated their look just a little bit. We've been talking about these Nike schools changing up their baseball a little bit in this off season. And just ready for the new season, Vanderbilt has done an interesting photo shoot on the bridge crossing the Tennessee River, and we have a not really it's just a refresh of the Vanderbilt look. Not a whole lot is changed. We see the classic white with the gold striping, a white and black, a gold shirt, and a black shirt, presumably used as their road uniforms, and the controversial black and gold pinstripe makes its return with the classic Vanderbilt logo cap, all the other caps bearing that gold block V on a black cap.
Man, I love the black pinstripes.
I can't agree with that. I do not like the gold, like the gold pinstripes on the black jerseys. I don't like that look for some reason. It just doesn't feel right. I think it's because it's so different from any other pinstripe uniform that it just doesn't feel right to me, and I just don't like that look, honestly.
I kind of flip-flop.
I totally get that.
Yeah, I kind of flip-flop on the black pinstripes, to be honest. Like, literally, I think it just depends on my mood, whether I either love it or I'm just like, it just looks so different and so weird. Now, their classic black uniform, I think, always looks great. As far as hats go, I'm the biggest fan of their just block V hat. I don't like the classic star with the V hat that they have, or the interesting, like, more narrow V hat. I don't like that hat. That's probably my least favorite of the hats. But the block V hat's my favorite one they have. And I really miss. I may be in the minority here. I miss their red, white, and blue uniforms from a few years back. Oof. I thought those looked great, personally.
Well, I would disagree with you on the red, white, and blue ones. They did look good, but they just, if anything felt out of place, it's those. The black pinstripes, like you said, were very controversial, but I think that it's such a different take on a typical pinstripe uniform that it makes it really good. And it kind of falls into, like, Ole Miss's powder blues, that when they come to town, you hope that they wear that, and you hope that Auburn matches with a pretty good-looking uniform as well. So, looking at this lineup, they all look great, but if they came to town, or when Auburn comes up to Nashville later this season, if we get to see them in those cream throwbacks and the black pinstripes, those are two good-looking uniforms for me.
The black pinstripes have to be extra slimming because it's black and it's the vertical lines. Probably make all their players look extra slim on the diamond.
Yeah, the black pinstripes are definitely interesting, and I'm glad they exist just for the whimsy of it. That's definitely nothing you'd see at the pro level, and I'm glad it has a chance to exist here at the college level. And another interesting thing is that Vanderbilt has opted not to have a cream or a road gray, rather, so it looks like they'll be wearing those black pinstripes a lot on the road along with those gold and black shirts.
I guess lastly, Jack, we're going back to basketball.
That is right. And, we say fashion violations in that show opener, and this is definitely one of them. Carter tipped me off to this one, I believe, with the puking emoji alongside it. And, so Clemson rolled these out against Miami when they took a trip down to South Beach over the weekend. And they are that just lovely storm gray that Nike loves to use. You see it, their Tennessee has adopted it most fondly. But it's just this, it looks like my Dell computer. It's that color. And it just pairs just lovely with this Clemson orange to form a really interesting jersey.
Why does the Clemson logo look like it's like taped on or like a sticker?
It looks like, just like a screen printed graphic that they ironed on.
I probably could print off that same logo on our copier out here.
It looks like on the sides they tried to be like the opposite or like the inverse of the Bengals with the tiger stripes, and I hate it. Oh, it just looks so bad.
This is a bad look for Clemson, especially when they already have a purple version of this design that they wore last year. And I really don't understand why you need black or gray when Clemson's got orange and purple. I know a lot of people now have gotten to the point where they don't like that combination, but that's a really good-looking, unique color combo in college athletics. And to just muddy it up with this is such a bad idea.
And then the logo with the tiger stripes on it. And the fact that, like, if you had somebody who lived under a rock that turns on a Clemson basketball game, honestly would have no clue looking at their uniforms that they're Clemson just because there's no identifying thing other than the logo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that at all.
And even if you're just a casual ACC fan or basketball fan, you flip on this game and you see one team in orange and storm gray and one team in white and orange. I immediately thought they were opposite. I thought Miami was in this awful uniform because they rolled out a couple awful uniforms in football season.
I don't understand the inconsistency either. I mean, if you're going to do the tiger stripes on the logo, wouldn't it make sense to do the tiger stripes on the numbers as well and kind of keep it somewhat uniform? But, the tiger stripes look terrible. Don't get me wrong. But why, the contrast there also messes with me a little bit. I don't like that at all.
It also makes the numbers and the paw look like they're different colors, too, which isn't a good look for uniforms.
I mean, hey, if they didn't put the stripes in the number, that's where they thought overkill was. And they stepped way over that line.
Mm-hmm. I simply hate this because it looks like a practice jersey.
Oh, yeah.
That's as simple as it gets for me.
And combined with the fact that it's this new type of Nike jersey with, the breathable holes in the front, it looks like the Clemson logo is, covering up some of those holes. And it's an unfortunate collision of a lot of ideas coming together, and it's just a really ugly product.
Yeah, it's probably the first fashion violation we had on this show.
Yeah, Tampa Bay last week was debatable, but I think this one across the board is a no from me.
Well, Clint, thank you for joining us. How can our listeners and viewers catch more of your content online?
You can check out my website, the Auburn Uniform Database, at auburnuniforms.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at ClintAU24.
Well, thank you for joining us, Clint. I hope you have a good day.
All right, appreciate it, guys. It was fun.
No problem.
Thank you, Clint.
That was Clint Richardson joining us on the Xtra Point. You can catch him on Twitter and on his website. And guys, that was a fun segment.